Is anyone out there?
Another salesperson enduring the endless search. Exhausting. If you want to get right to the right conversations, you need LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Whether you're looking for new leads or strengthening existing relationships at your top accounts, get right to the right conversations with LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Try LinkedIn Sales Navigator now with a free 60-day trial at linkedin.com/trial. That's linkedin.com/trial.
Terms and conditions apply!
The new McCrispy Strip is here. Dip approved by ketchup, tangy barbecue, honey mustard, Sprite, McFlurry, Big Mac sauce, double dipped in buffalo and ranch, more ranch, and creamy chili McCrispy Strip Dip. Now at McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Gamers Anonymous, the podcast where everyone is welcome at the table, but of course, no one knows whose turn it is. This is Chris.
Hey, and this is Anthony.
And this is episode 528, our favorite games gone digital. We like to thank all our Patreon backers for helping us bring you a brand new episode. Welcome back, friends. I'm so glad to have you here this week, digitally, of course. Not just for board games, but also, Anthony, for podcasts.
All of it's digital all the time. It's great. Digital is great.
Will this podcast ever be cardboard based?
That'd be cool. Make a game. Yeah. BGA the game.
BGA the game.
Yeah. What's the goal of BGA the game? Is it a co-op? You're trying to get the podcast done?
You're trying to get everybody on the podcast.
Yeah. Failure conditions. 1, microphone breaks. 2, you fall asleep before you finish. 3, no one shows up on time.
There's a lot of failure conditions in this co-op game. Plenty of those. People don't know, but we've experienced after, I guess, 528 episodes, plus the other podcasts, we've experienced all the failure conditions possible.
Yep. Nothing will beat having to re-record episode 100.
Oh my God.
Completely from scratch. Or the time we did a top 100 where we had to do it in sections of 10 because the software was broken.
I think that was I think that was episode 100. I think that was both
the same 100. Thing. Yeah, that episode was. No one was happy by the end of that. No. And if you go back and listen, you can't tell because the magic of editing.
Magic.
It's
it's magic, but it's also free access software. So when that happens, you have to kind of roll with it.
That's true. We do pay for stuff now. So.
You get what you pay for. So when you pay nothing. Typically, you do get nothing.
That's true. Yep.
Yeah. But, we're glad to have you here this week, and we're glad to be talking about our favorite games digitized. Now they're in the world of Tron. People are playing them digitally out there. If and when you can't get cardboard to the table, this is the second best option.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So, we asked everybody out there, what is a game that became one of your favorites because of the digital implementation? So we also wanted to share some of ours. So we have a bunch of answers, plus our own list. It's going to be fun.
Absolutely. So we got a lot for you. But Anthony, before we get into all to that fun stuff, there's a lot of stuff going on with BGA. You got a couple of updates, starting off with some terraforming.
Yeah. So make sure y'all join us. We are doing our first ever board game club discussing Terraforming Mars. And here's how you participate. You play the game.
There you go.
And you send us a comment or a question. The end. As many comments or questions as you want, of course. So your participation is not limited necessarily. But there is a thread in the Discord. If you're on the Discord, if you're not, check out the show notes and you can join us there. There is also the opportunity to answer our questions of the week, which I'll be posting. Not yet, probably the week or so before that, just so they don't get buried leading up to the event. But coming up soon, or if you have any thoughts now, post them anywhere. Send us an email. Hit us up on Blue Sky Board Gamers Anonymous, and just let us know what you think. And that's what the episode's going to be. We're going to deep dive into Terraforming Mars as a game, as an experience, cardboard expansions, fancy edition, ugly edition. If people have thoughts on the card game or the dice game, if people have thoughts on Board Game Arena versus Steam versions, like all the things, bring it all. We want to hear it all.
Yeah, all the controversies, the AI stuff, that was the thing.
Oh my gosh, the AI stuff, Prelude 2 and that nightmare.
Yes. I saw Prelude 2 in the store the other day, and I looked at it, I was like, oh, this is supposed to help you when you play the other expansions.
Yeah.
It's not just for that, but mostly for that. I'm just like, they are going back and they're fixing those, blown holes in their tires. So
yeah, I picked it up not too long ago because I had some credit with the store. And once I got it, I'm like, oh, half of this expansion is to fix Venus. I still don't want to play Venus. So I just paid a bunch of money for cards that I'm never going to use.
Yeah, there's a handful of stuff that you can actually use regardless, like the corporations and stuff. But yeah, I think I almost feel, and we literally just talked about this. I kind of feel it's like it should be like DLC, like it should almost be free. Because you bought the game already with the belief that it would actually work, and then it doesn't work. It'd be nice if the expansion that fixed it wasn't $25. Just saying. So
yeah.
So this is your opportunity to rave about the game, rant about the game, or in fact, you can even do the dreaded rage about the game.
By all means, I know I love it. I'm not going to be offended if you come at us with some hot takes. Bring it. It'll be fun.
Be philosophical about it, be poetic about it, be musical about it,
be angry.
I mean, that's a new take.
Be political. It's all good, man. Whatever you want to
say. Take it all the different ways you want to take it, and then we'll take it from there. So that'll be a great thing. All right, Anthony. So we're going to have a lot of hot takes, a lot of good information, a lot of people chatting about things. Now, if by chance those people came together in one location and wrote a bunch of stuff about games and then presented it, what would that be?
That would be the Board Game Academics 2025 conference at the Strong Museum National Play in Rochester, New York. That's too long. BGA conference. We're
at the Play Museum.
At the Play Museum.
That's right.
So yeah, we are doing our third annual conference celebrating the work of all of our wonderful submitters and authors for the upcoming Volume 3 of Board Game Academics. This year's conference will be in October 4th and 5th at the Strong National Museum of Play in Rochester, one of the great meccas to play and gaming in the country, in the world, potentially. I'm super excited to be there, and it's just going to be a cool place to be. So at the conference this year, we have 13 people presenting, which is amazing. Just like a huge number of people submitted this year, and we're feeling really good about all those submissions. We also have 4 people submitting or presenting from overseas virtually. So even if you can't make it there, but you should make it there, join us. But if you can't for whatever reason, because you're overseas or busy or have kids or, all the things, there'll be a way to join virtually as well. So you can hit that up on the website. The admission is currently discounted at an early bird rate through the end of this month. So if you go to boardgameacademics.com/register, there'll be links there to do that, to register. And the code early bird discount is automatically applied when you check out. If you are a student or adjunct faculty, the rate is lower still, and that one does not expire. That will remain lower until the event, until we take down registrations. So definitely check that out. We're really excited. This is, we've been doing this for a couple of years, and it's been fun every time. But this year we have not only just this amazing space we get to explore, but we have 2 full days at that space with over a dozen presenters, with a keynote speaker, with panels we're going to have. We're going to tour the museum in a wonderful city. It's going to be fantastic. So you can check all that out, boardgameacademics.com/register. There's information there on how to register to attend the event, as well as book a hotel room at the block, which we have negotiated very competitive rates. It's like a 4-minute walk from the museum, so perfect location. So we hope to see you there.
Absolutely. Please join us. Attendance is limited. Space is limited. So don't wait until September to register.
Yeah, that's important because it will fill up.
Yes. All right. Well, that's what's going on with BGA. Anthony, let's get on to the episode and let's roll for preview.
All right. So my preview this week is a game that, I'll be honest, if you just showed me the cover of this in passing, I would have said, ew, gross. That looks bad. And it does look bad. It's not a good picture. Have you seen this picture?
Not.
It's a bad cover, right?
It's a very bad cover. It's a cover from like the 1980s, 1970s.
It's either like 1970s or like 2008. Like, it's like that in between of just like, I don't know, just what's like, it's called Lightning Train, right? So like, give us a train and some lightning. Okay.
Yeah, it seems like they ran this through the AI and it was way too literal.
Yeah, right. So it's not great. It's not a great cover. But why I'm excited about Lightning Train, which is the game we're talking about here, is it is the new game from Dire Wolf Games. Now, Dire Wolf Games is famous for two things, really. Clank and all the many versions of Clank, and then Dune Imperium and all the many versions of Dune Imperium. They are first and foremost a digital studio who has now kind of specialized in making digital adaptations of games. So they made the Dune Imperium and Clank digital versions, but they also made the digital implementations of Ark Nova, Isle of Cats, Cascadia, Roots, Welcome to Everdell, Munchkin, Game of Thrones, the board game, all sorts of stuff, like all these Steam adaptations. So they're generally, when 4 of your games are in the top 100, 2 versions of Clank and 2 versions of Dune Imperium, you're doing something right? And their main designer, Paul Dennen, who designed Dune Imperium and Clank, has come out here with a new game, which is a train game, which cool, right? Trains are cool, but it's a bag building train game. So it's got like a cube rail look, which like in a cube rail game, you're putting cubes down one at a time on your turn, and you're kind of building out the tracks, and then buying into or out of the different like stocks or the company elements, right? It's like taking 18xx and boiling it down to the bare core minimum, and it takes an hour or an hour and a half to play. Very fun. I like them. This has that vibe and that look, but instead of just throwing out tracks and trying to maximize what the resources you get, you are now building a bag of resources. So you're going to build up your own stuff. You're going to have stuff come out of your bag, and you're going to take those chips and place them onto stations and train lines in the North American map, because it's got to be a North American map, right? So you're picking up and delivering stuff. You're blocking off routes because it's a train game. You got to be doing that. And there's really not a ton of information here. Like, I can kind of intuit a little bit of what the game's going to do, because it's just that this is how train games go, right? There's a certain thing that they do. Choo-choo indeed. But other than like some basic visuals that they've released, and I will say the inside of the box looks more interesting than the outside of the box.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, it's got some nice pastel colors. You get there's cards. The little chits and stuff look like solid. And honestly, what really drives me to it is you're telling me it's a bag building game. Great. I think it's a cool idea for how to mix up the train genre.
Sure.
And it's coming from a guy who has done 2 of the highest rated deck building games of all time.
Yeah.
Very well regarded. I love Dune Imperium, one of my favorite games. Clank is great, even if it's not necessarily for me, but I can recognize it's a brilliant design. So taking that and applying it to a train game in a slightly different way, I think it's cool. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of bag building. I don't like shoving my hand in that bag every turn, and I like it. Just give me a deck of cards. But when it's done right, when it's done effectively, when it's done in a way that's not too fiddly, it can be a lot of fun. So I'm interested to see what this turns into. I'm assuming it'll come out at Gen Con. Here they say it's coming out at Gen Con.
Yeah.
And that means, we'll see it when we see it. But because they basically said, if you're in the U.S., we don't know. We don't know if you're getting it. But, for all our friends overseas, we're definitely going to get to play the game. Have fun.
Have fun. Have fun on our behalf. We appreciate it.
And because it's Direwolf, we know that it will get a digital version eventually. And even if it never comes here, I will play it digitally in the future.
But you don't get to stick your hand in a bag.
I could pretend. I could go get a bag.
Yeah.
Stick it in the bag and then click the mouse through the bag.
Ooh.
That just sounds weird. I shouldn't do that.
It does sound weird, yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
No, don't do that.
No, it's cool, though. Like, I don't know. It made me think, like, what kind of... There are certain games that just have the same mechanics over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Like, train games are like one of 2 or 3 mechanics.
Yes.
And there are a million of them. Like, what's another game that just always has the same mechanics? Like, farming games are always worker placement, right?
They're always worker placement, yeah.
What other mechanic would you throw at a farming game to make it more interesting?
I mean, a Mancala might be nice.
That'd be cool, yeah.
Like, instead, like, going around the farm sections and picking up different numbers of vegetables off the different spots.
Yeah, kind of like Scoville, but
yeah,
a little more Mancala-y.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, go around a circle and reap your crops kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems that certain genres are so tightly fixed to certain game mechanics. It's a big, it's just like, that's what that is. Oh, it's a train game. It's definitely cubes.
Yeah.
Right.
Some kind of cubes, probably some paper money. Like, you'll figure it out.
Yeah. So it's good because they have to mix things up. I mean, last week we were talking about Dice Throne, the Pog game.
Yeah.
And it's just like, maybe this went a little too far, but again, you got to try new things. You got to bring in different mechanics in.
Yeah, well, because that's the thing. You're not going to get to good ideas unless you try crazy ideas in between. Like, you got to go big, and then, hey, that didn't work, but you know what did work is this one small part of that. Now let's turn that into a thing.
Yeah, remember when marbles were a big thing?
Yeah, right? All the games had marbles all of a sudden.
Potion Explosion, Lorenzo came out with marbles,
Gizmos, Gollum.
Yeah, that marbles were a thing for a minute. So
I forgot about that Lorenzo marble game. It's up on Board Game Arena now, and I was like, oh yeah,
marbles.
Someone's
like, what do you have left in the back of the shop? No more cards, no more cubes, marbles. Yeah. Just like, let's do it.
my daughter went on a streak for a while where she was obsessed with Potion Explosion.
Uh-huh.
And every time we played it, the marbles went up on the floor. And I'm like,
oh no,
I hate marbles so much. It's a great game, though. It's a great game.
I played that not too long ago with my niece, and just the cardboard holder at the end just like falling apart. And
yeah. It's not designed for like repeated use by children.
No. And I remember bringing that back from Gen Con and just the weight of that game because of all the marbles in it and then all the security people.
Yeah. Why do you have a box full of marbles? Well, let me show you.
Yeah. Boxes full of marbles and boxes full of dice do not make security people happy.
Is that the time you had like the too many bones in your bag?
It was.
With all the chips?
Yeah, they stopped me for a special examination and had to open up everything after it was like so amazingly packed.
Yeah, there's so many games where I'm like, man, it'd be weird to have security go through this.
Well, I think especially with too many bones, because the quality of their components is not normal. So I can't imagine what an X-ray must have seen when they looked at those dice and chips and everything like that. Because it's not like just a general die. Right, everything that they make is like supposed to, exist in the next ice age or something. It's just like, no, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
So no, this is good because again, I mean, train games and board games or Euro games, like they're one and the same in a lot of ways. Like train games is kind of the ultimate success. Can you make a train game? Can you make a Ticket to Ride or Age of Steam, right? All of those train games. Like I probably, when I got into the hobby initially, I saw more train games at the table than I did anything else.
Yeah. Yeah. I do feel like this game is going to annoy train game enthusiasts, though. Because the whole idea that you're drawing chips out of a bag to determine what resources you have available on a turn.
Yes.
Like immediately out of the box, you've removed perfect information, which is what a lot of people like about train games. And then you've entered in this element of luck, and you can mitigate that luck, obviously. But yeah, I think people are going to get a headache. I think it's cool, but
they're not going to pass it off as 18XX, is what you're saying?
I would love that. That would be funny.
Get all the 18XX people really upset. They're like, it's not the double 18X.
Yeah, come on now.
Come on, guys. What bag building? Nah.
Yeah, trains are good.
Lightning trains, even better.
Lightning trains are... Why is it called lightning train? See, that's the thing. I can't tell from any of these pictures why it's a lightning train.
You have to name it something, and they went with lightning.
Yeah. What's it about? It's about trains.
Yeah. Considering bag building games are very slow.
Yeah.
Thinking about the actual play style of a bag building game. It takes you a while to like fill the bag, put your hand in there, pull things out. Sometimes you have to roll the dice after you pull them out. You know, a deck builder is pretty quick. 5 cards, play the 5 cards. You know.
Yeah. So. That's a very good point. Yeah.
Not a quick mechanic whatsoever. It doesn't instill lightning skills or lightning kind of actions.
You say lightning and it's a game, I assume there's dice.
Dice. Okay.
Lightning is a dice mechanic.
I would think a dexterity mechanic.
Oh. What's a dexterity train game?
Oh, that'd be funny.
Just, I guess, flicking the trains across the tracks?
It could be. Or like a jungle speed thing. You gotta grab the train switch to switch the tracks.
Oh my god. Bruises.
There you go.
All right. Well, I'll keep an eye on this one. I probably won't be playing it this summer if it's coming out at Gen Con first, but maybe in the fall. We'll let you all know.
Never know. Could happen.
Never know.
All right. So for our roll for review this week, I got 3 quick games for you. 3 quick reviews. Nice and quick, nice and fast. First up is the game that was number 1 on BGG last week, and I was like, why? And then I found it. It was on Board Game Arena. It's called Toy Battle. This came out this year in 2025. The weight is 1.36, and I don't think I have to say much more than that. It's a 2-player game, and you are, competing against your opponent to try to gain victory in 2 separate ways. You're trying to gain victory points. There's stars on the board. If you surround stars, you gain the victory points. Or you're trying to take down their particular base castle thing, depending on the board that you happen to be playing it. It's a fairly simple game. Basically, on your turn, you're going to do one of 2 actions. You're going to either draw 2 toys to put into your hand, or you're going to play a toy to the board. And there are sections on the board which you can play toys, and there's special spots on the board when you play a toy will allow you to pull toys off of the board. And basically, each of the toys has a special ability. So, for example, the soldier, little green plastic soldier guy, when you play him, you're able to play an additional toy onto the board. But he's very low numbered. And that's what comes into play a lot in the game is as you're playing your toys onto the board, you can play higher numbers on top of lower numbers in order to claim that section. But again, there are ways to also knock out those. The highest number is a 7. Not to worry. There's a rubber ducky. The rubber ducky claims all, but the rubber ducky doesn't have a numerical value. So anything can jump on top of the rubber ducky. That's pretty much it. It's quick. It's fast. It just really comes down to a matter of when do you draw additional toys to your hand to play. That's the really tricky part of the game, because playing the toys to the board makes complete sense. You need a pathway from your main castle point to their main castle point, so you have to have a complete line of toys up to there, so you know what you're doing. Or again, you're surrounding stars to gain enough victory points to win. So very straightforward. But when do you pass and take 2 toys versus putting down another toy? So it's a little bit of press your luck as far as games concerned. They consider it a family game and a war game. I think that's kind of hilarious because war gamers are going to be laughing at that.
Yeah.
Basically, it's an abstract strategy game with a little bit of area control, and that's pretty much it. It's fun. It's a play. It's a light game. I enjoyed playing it. You could play it on Board Game Arena for free. So check it out.
Yeah. I like, as you're talking, I pulled it up and I took a turn. I'm like, oh, I get it.
Super quick, super simple.
Yeah.
And each of the toys has a special ability, so that's kind of fun. And then again, sometimes it comes down to who drew what, as far as, what you're able to do.
Right.
All right. Next up is a little bit of an older game. This is Murano from 2014 from Inca and Marcus Brand. This is a game that I had seen quite a lot back in the day, and I was really interested in playing this, and friends brought this over and were like, hey, this game's been out of print. It's super rare. You want to play it? And I'm like, sure, why not? So Murano is a game set in Murano, Italy. It's a small group of islands near Venice that's famous for its glassmaking, like the best glassmaking in the world. Beautiful colors, amazing artisans. Artisans come from around the world to make glass. The game itself, because it's, a little bit older, 2014, is your basic square board, beige islands, beige brown islands, and blue water surrounding them. Basically, it's a giant rondelle around the islands, and there's gondola tokens around the island, and you don't own any of the gondolas. But on your turn, you have an opportunity to do basically one thing, which is move a gondola. So you can choose any gondola you want and move it around the board clockwise. If other gondolas in the way, you have to pay 1 money to move that out of the way. That's when things started getting expensive. Primarily, the victory points in the game comes down to victory point cards. You have to get those cards by taking an action in the waterway with the gondolas. Those cards will tell you or stipulate exactly what you need to do. Sometimes it's have a certain color glass. Sometimes it's having certain businesses in certain sections. Sometimes it's just the island needs to have X, Y, and Z. Because you're all playing buildings to different islands. Some of the buildings you own and control. Some you do not because you're putting them out for points or special technologies. So it really comes down to those victory points. And it really comes down to controlling having a control marker at that particular island that meets that special condition. So by the end of the game, you're going to have like 3 to 5 victory point cards completed. And it's fast. It's not completely in your control. Again, as you take the victory point cards, you have a choice of cards. So you might want to choose something that's a little more in your control, like getting certain, colored glass. But again, you're pulling from a bag. And as Anthony mentioned, a little bit random on that side. The actual islands kind of meeting certain conditions. Everyone's adding certain things to there. So you might want to wait until later before you pick that card and then choose that island. But also you might want to build towards a certain island goal because you have those cards in your hand.
Mm-hmm.
It's lighter. It's fun. I enjoyed it, but I played it 4 players, which I think is the ideal player count for this game. There's a 3-player version on the other side of the board, but you're not, since so many players are affecting the islands, it's very highly tactical. And that's not a big problem, with the exception of you are going to, from time to time, have a victory point card that either will not score, or because the island is already taken up, you cannot score it. And it's just like, what's the point of these, long-term victory point cards if you can't strategically build towards those?
Right.
So, it's a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and every time you're moving out of a good spot, you're giving it up to an opponent.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to give it a play. It's a play. I'm definitely happy that I played it. I don't know if I want to play it again, but I'm really glad that I did because I had a good time. And finally, a game that came out recently, Kutna Hora, The City of Silver from 2023. This is a game from CGE. It's about smelting silver in a medieval city and doing all the mining and building that kind of goes along with this. So this is a famous city of silver back in the 14th century. And you're working with the monastery and the miners and the central city in order to build up victory points. Because again, it's a victory point game. It's a CGE game. What's really interesting and dynamic about this game is at the start of the game, you're given a hand of cards. On these cards has a top and a bottom action. You decide when you play the card out, and you have to play 2 cards out, which actions are you taking on the cards, top or bottoms, right? So you could take a top on one and a bottom on, it does not matter. But those are the actions. So you really have to be very careful with what you're choosing to place down because you may not have that action later. Basically, you're going to play all but 1 card on there. And as you play the action cards, you get to take different actions. The actions primarily are about mining, about building up the town, taking special abilities, and manipulating the particular market of all those different goods. What's also interesting and fun is the game itself has its own kind of market calculator.
Mm-hmm.
So as the game goes on and as you take special abilities and there's certain spots on the board, the calculations that this little cardboard box thing makes with cards in it kind of adjust throughout the game. So if you really built heavy into silver, then silver price is going to drop, and sometimes you won't even be able to build any more silver because you kind of hit the bottom of the market. On top of which, you're building a cathedral, which will give you special abilities and give you victory points throughout the game. The production is kind of top-notch on this, although the box really leaves a lot to be desired. I think they made a very bad decision with the box cover, because I think it looks very non-distinct and kind of boring.
I remember when they opened it up, like when we first looked at it, because I thought it was going to be very stark, and it's like, oh, this is interesting art direction considering the cover.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's colorful. It's very pastel. It's got this reclaimed wood plastic pieces, which are really nice in your hand. The player boards are nice. They're indented, so you could put all your pieces out there. I enjoyed it. I think it's definitely worth the play. The market doesn't fluctuate enough. Like, you don't really control the market. The market just goes one way, and that was a little challenging. The cathedral building is kind of fun, but there's definitely certain sections of the cathedral building that are dramatically better than other sections. The mining of the game, I would assume, since it's about mining silver, should be like the most important part of the game. And really, you could kind of somewhat ignore that completely and still win the game, because a lot of the points comes from the town buildings and what you build around the town buildings. So there's a lot of different victory conditions, and you could kind of like decide which ones you're going to go for. But primarily, those victory conditions, those bonus global kind of goals, don't add a lot to the game as far as victory points are concerned. So I generally enjoyed the game. It's definitely a play for me. I might want to play it one more time, just to kind of get a feel. I played at different player counts. 4 played the best. I didn't enjoy it at 2 or 3. So maybe one more try of it. But I think this is a game that can be very good if given an expansion. I think it has the bones of this. I just think that it needs like some other section to do something else, because I think the mine is underskilled, the town overskilled as far as victory points are concerned, and then the bonus goals are like not really that valuable, and again, the cathedral's kind of random. So give us an expansion that does something more, a whole section board, and I think this will be a great game. Right now, it's just a play.
Okay. I've had this one on my shelf for about 2 years. I haven't played it yet. So I was like, I was hoping you'd give me like a Stark one way or the other, and I'm like, no, a play.
It's
now
a
it's
play.
just going to continue to sit on my shelf as I don't play it.
Yeah, I mean, it would be a great game maybe about 7 years ago. Like, I think it would be like a revolutionary game, because the market system with the little box and the cards is so innovative, and the production is so good. It's just some of the balancing issues with the victory points and the play styles leave a lot to be desired. And if you don't play with 4 players, that means one of the players is going to have a slight advantage, because they're going to be able to produce something that other players can't, right? So there's like 4 different types of materials. So you really want to have that equal cooperation and competition at the same time. So if only one person can manipulate one part of the market, it really slows the game down a lot. So 4 players, people. Don't play anything else. 4 players. I'm standing on these games with like, what's the ideal play count? It is 4. Just saying, it's 4. Don't mess around otherwise. So there you go. 3 quick reviews. All plays. Plays for different reasons, because they're all different games. So definitely check them out when you can. All right, Anthony. So that's all our rolling. Let's get on to our feature review. So our feature review this week, of course, is The Voice of the Gamers. We reached out, we asked, and you responded. And this week, your responses were for your favorite games that went digital, Anthony.
Games gone digital. Yep, we're talking about specifically the way I worded it and the way we're answering this is what are games that made you like the game more once you had when you had access digitally. So whether it makes it easier to get to the table or somehow changes the gameplay in some way. So we're going to share some of the thoughts that you all gave us, and then we're going to give our own lists of games that kind of have helped with that. And digital means anything that's not cardboard, right? So it could be Steam, it could be iOS, it could be Android, it could be Board Game Arena, any of the other websites. So any way that you're playing this, it is not strictly at your table. So
Sounds
we will
good.
Kick it off on Facebook with first post from Paul Burton, which I love this because it's a little bit of a niche one that I don't think a lot of people know. And I don't even think you can play anymore.
Oh no!
But for a while, the Boîte de Jeu implementation of Concordia was excellent. It included lots of maps, options to play with multiple combinations of Salt and/or Forum editions. It was free, and I could find good players to play with. Since Boîte de Jeu closed down, I'm not aware of another good option for this game online. So yeah, Paul brings us an option that is very good. I played this several times myself over the years, but you can no longer do because that website is no longer up.
Yeah, I've played that. I played Concordia on the iOS, and it's not good. No, you didn't get. I didn't get to it. Yeah, not good.
Oh, okay, good. We're on the same page.
No, 100%. I was very excited.
Let me just cut you off before you even get there. It's terrible, Chris.
It's terrible. Don't worry, I'll do a podcast on it. I'll be like, what I meant to say was, it's terrible.
Yeah.
And I love Concordia. I just, it's just some games don't translate.
No. We might maybe get into that a little bit, but it's one of those games that I think if you zoom out to show everything, it's all kind of tiny, right? It's a big map.
Yeah, it's true.
If you zoom in, then you don't know what's going on in other parts of the map when other people take their turns. That's always a bad formula. You got to be able to see everything somehow. All right. Vegard Eliasson Stillerud, apologies if I got any part of your name wrong, says Arc Nova on BGA is excellent.
Ooh.
I always keep a game going. I don't disagree with that. I have not played Arc Nova at the table in a very long time. I still own a copy because I think it's a game that people are interested in, and I'm looking forward to other expansions that maybe open up the beginning of that game a little bit more.
Yeah.
But the BGA implementation is great because it does take care of a lot of downtime type stuff, like cycling cards, moving things around. And it plays pretty smoothly. It is the kind of game that I would prefer to play asynchronously, which I know is not something you really like to do.
I don't.
So I don't have a game always open, but I do occasionally start a game and just play it over the course of a couple of weeks.
Sure. I'm looking at it right now because I have not played it on BGA, and I agree. I think the implementation here is great. It seems to fit the board without being too small, and I pretty much could read the text on this. And I think even with the board game version of it, some of the production of it kind of limits the game. And it's nice to have nice clear icons here on the board.
It's impressive that they're able to do it. Right, like there's a lot here. It's a big board. There's a lot going on. So they do also have the expansion on Board Game Arena, which is pretty nice.
Oh, nice. I love when they do that.
A relatively new expansion, so having that up there already is cool. All right, so moving on over to the Patreon, we have a post from Lucia Kreschke. Again, names, I'm sorry. I generally prefer to play games face-to-face. However, there is one exception. And I think you and I probably both agree on this one. Through the Ages, A New Story of Civilization, the app. So they expand on this specifically why. The app lets me focus on the important stuff, even return and try different moves before the final decision each turn, which is priceless in such a complex game, without having to remember how many yellow-blue dice I have to return as opposed to trying out different moves in the real game.
Yeah.
And that's huge, because I was like, I could see someone being like, well, you can do that in a real game. Nothing's final until the next person takes their turn. It's like, that's true, but like undoing all the stuff you've done in a physical game that's that complicated can be hard. You have
And
to
people
remember
will
everything
not like
you
that.
move. Yeah, you're like, okay, let me move this back and move this back and do this, and I'm just undoing all this. I'm like, what are you doing over there?
Yeah, and there's the uprising if you don't have people get angry
Yeah,
and they don't have enough food. But you really only know that after you do all the moves.
right. Yeah.
So you kind of need to know when you're moving some things what's going to happen. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, no, they expand here. They say the graphics are very clear. The background music is quiet, pleasant, and thematic. Even the AI opponents are surprisingly good. I agree. We've talked about this a few times. We had a top 10 a while ago. This was our number one board game app. I think it still is. It's funny. Like they managed to translate Shavaddle's rulebook humor into the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like the tutorial is really good. So
It's very good.
This is probably my number. Like if I had to make a top 10 for this topic, this would be my number one of like games that I like better because of the app. Because board game tabletop, I own it. I have the expansion. I think I've played it 3/4 of once and maybe one other time. Because it's so long, there's a lot of upkeep. It's difficult to kind of track and manage, especially if you're teaching other people how to play.
Yeah,
the app is so much more interesting.
Agreed.
All right, and Ryan says the BGA implementation of Castles of Burgundy and Beyond the Sun are fantastic. They have clean interfaces, run fast and smooth, have tooltips, and present all the game information very well. I haven't really played the Beyond the Sun on Board Game Arena, but I do really like Castles of Burgundy, especially compared to the terrible, visually painful Steam implementation.
Yeah.
Did not like that one. So
let's see.
They also go on here, and have you played this? The Yukata implementation of Underwater Cities.
I haven't. I've heard about this. I think someone mentioned this, but we've never got around to playing it.
All right. So Ryan mentions the interface looks a bit dated, which is Yukata. They tend to look a little bit more dated.
Yeah.
But overall, it's still automated and works wonderfully. I do wish PGA would pick up the game to give it a more modern look and a greater reach. BGA does have a few other Suchi games, so maybe UWC will come over one day.
Strange that it hasn't come over yet, because I think it's got to be their most popular game.
Oh, by far, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's perfect for that platform.
Yes.
Yeah, I got to head back over to Yukata. I used to spend a ton of time on Yukata.
That was way back in the day, man. I used to play so much over there.
I would play Castles of Burgundy. They had like a flat version of that. And then another one that I'm going to talk about in a minute, I played, I think, 90 or 100 games of over there.
Wow.
Because it was just so quick and easy to play. But yeah, I didn't know they had Underwater Cities.
Excellent.
So thank you everybody who wrote in. Obviously, there's millions of these things, so it's interesting to hear what you all think about not the best apps necessarily, but the ones that really like hit it home for like making the game better for you. So we have some of our own picks, and it's not necessarily a top 10 list or anything, just some games we want to kind of emphasize as doing a good job of this. So I'll lead things off here. Root, which I mentioned a little bit earlier because it's a Direwolf digital game. It's over on Steam. I would still prefer to play this cardboard at the table, but the reason I like the Root app so much is because it's an asymmetrical game with some complexity to each of the different factions.
Yes.
And it manages that for you. So, especially if you're trying to learn the game, if you know the rules and you're not learning strictly from the app, it's a good way to like reinforce that, like what the flow is of those different factions.
Sure.
I would not use this to learn the game and then go play it at the tabletop, because the game, the Steam version does do a lot of upkeep for you, and you will then get burned a little bit at the table. But it's cute and colorful. They really nail the art style from the board game. Like when the characters fight, it's like a cute little skirmish.
Sure.
I think it's very cool.
Very nice. Like it.
Yeah. Another one here from my side, Dune Imperium on Steam. I think the Dune Imperium release is very, very solid. We have expansion content in there now as well. It's expensive. You pay like half the price of the board game to get the digital version of the game. But it runs really smoothly, and it does a really good job of showing you what's happening and not really burying all that tracking.
Yes.
I think that's one of the things that also drives me nuts in digital implementation sometimes is you click a button, 20 things happen, and you can't really follow what just happened.
Mm.
And you're like, I guess that was good. You don't get that feedback loop of like, I did a cool thing, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened. And then like the opponent takes their turn, and you're like, what did you do? I don't know. But this one, like the Direwolf digital games, do a good job of showing all that.
They do. They've really stepped it up a lot. I mean, we've talked about this. It's been like generations of differences between the games that have come out from like way back in the day till now, and they've certainly they stood out a lot.
Right. Yeah, 100%. Like it's definitely not. I don't think there's any other implementations except maybe Munchkin that I'm not a fan of.
Sure.
And I know that Munchkin implementation just has issues. Technically.
Yeah, it does.
All right, another couple here for me. I mentioned Yukata. I played the Voyages of Marco Polo on there dozens and dozens of times. It plays very fast. It's very clear. It gets everything on the same page and screen, so you can see what you're doing. The game just flows really smoothly. It's not pretty because it's Yukata, but it does what it needs to do. That's all
true.
I need. And God, there was a stretch where I just had like 5 or 6 games going at a time for a couple months. That just really knocked out a bunch.
Gotcha.
And then another one here, it's over on Board Game Arena, Russian Railroads, or I guess Ultimate Railroads, as they have it listed, because they do have all 4 sets of railroads. The Russian, the German, the American, and the Asian railroads. And I love this implementation for one specific reason, is they let you play a very broken solo version of the game.
Oh, really? Nice.
Yeah, so you can just play a solo version of the game that doesn't have the limitations of the actual official solo version of the game, and just keeps snowballing out to insanity, like scores in the 700s. It's just kind of a fun way sometimes to spend like 20 minutes because you can play the game really fast if you're just clicking quickly through the turns, and just like to maximize your points. And so like in the solo game, for reference, like you can't get more coins. Like you start the game with I think 4 coins, but you can't go to the location to get more coins or more workers. In the Board Game Arena version of the solo game, you can. So every round, you're just getting like 3 extra actions. You're just like, I get extra workers, and now I get extra coins and steamroll.
Yes.
And it's broken, but it's fun, and I appreciate that. One more here from my side: 7 Wonders Duel on iOS. This is one of those ones where it does handle all the upkeep, and it's pretty quick and responsive. And I don't mind that because it's a very flat game where everything is open and you can see what everybody's doing, and it does go that quickly. I remember you and I playing this on the airplane, and it's a perfect pass back and forth iPad game because there's no hidden information.
Yes.
So I think it's a really great one. I'm really bad on it for some reason. Like my brain doesn't process it the same way as it does at the tabletop, but I still really enjoy it. I've played it, a few dozen times.
Sure. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
All right. Well, for me, a bunch of games here too. I guess first up, I think is Race for the Galaxy. Race for the Galaxy is a really fun game, but it's a little bit on the old side. It's seen better days, and if you want to get something, I guess that level and quality of the game, it's good to have something that can kind of manage all the upkeep of what is a very large deck of cards that comes into play. And in this game, basically, if you haven't played it before, you're paying cards to play cards, and you're choosing actions. So doing this at the tabletop is not too much of a problem, but the game is so fast that you might as well just play it online, because you could blow through games really quick. And the really fun part of the game is that as you play the game, you're really getting a very good experience about all the different strategies. And I think that's the one thing that you don't really get unless you actually, how would you say it? Like if you play the game like 100 times, whatever it is, but it's really hard to do at the tabletop because it does take some time. But when you do in the app, 1, 2, 3, I tried the military strategy. 1, 2, 3, I tried the selling strategy. And I think that's really where the game like kind of shines. So I've always been very happy with it. I played a bunch of games on there, tried a lot of different strategies, and really enjoyed it. Next up is a game, Anthony, I know you and I have played a lot from time to time. This is Star Realms.
Oh, yeah.
We're big fans of Star Realms, and again, it's another one of those quick kind of card games that you just kind of throw to the table and just gets a lot of play. And that's really what you want to see with your games out there, is how much play can this game actually get out there? Turns out a lot.
Yeah, this one's crazy. I don't know how many plays I have of this app. 100, 200, 300, something like that. It's a lot. I played it a lot because you can get through a game of this in 10 minutes.
Yes, 100%. So, yeah, it's definitely one of those things where, again, you can play a lot of strategies out, and the game is meant to be played fast. Mm-hmm. So, I've always enjoyed it, and I'm really glad that, I have the opportunity to play all the things. Next up is, Patchwork. Patchwork is another one of those games that
Great
is
one, yeah.
2 players or multiplayers. You can play Uwe against Uwe in the game, as an AI character. And again, what's really fun about it is Patchwork is really fast, and you could play on the table. And I think in this case, why you want to play the digital implementation is that Patchwork is absolutely positively one of those games that's super easy to play, but super difficult to master. And I really love the opportunity to actually play out different strategies to try to understand when I'm taking certain cloth tiles with buttons or not with buttons. And I still have not cracked the code because the AI can be a little rough from time to time, but it allows you to do those things. And that's really what I like to do, is like play out those different strategies and, practice as far as the tiles are concerned. So, works great on the table, works great on the digital. It's a fun game. And then you can play that with anybody too. Again, player experience may differ a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Next up, Takedo for the iOS. I was surprised that Takedo got an iOS release. Takedo is totally cool. Just basically kind of like a worker placement game, but basically you are playing across a straight line because you're walking the Takedo Road. And the board game is beautiful and serene and artistic. And you get a lot of that actually in the iOS game because it has that beautiful board, has some additional animations. You get to see the characters, but at no time does it do more technically than what the game itself does. So there's no crazy animations, which kind of distract the game or confuse the game. When you play a game online, one of the biggest challenges is, does the digital implementation do too much as far as, like fanfare, or is it just too big for the board? This game is just one single line of dots and a couple of icons across as far as that's concerned, and it fits perfectly well in an iOS version.
It's very pretty. I have just 2 more quick ones here I want to throw out. First is the Clever games.
Very clever.
4 of them, the Wolfgang Warsch games. And these are these apps almost feel like they're not real. Like you open them up and they do weird things and they force you to log in, but you're not really logged in. But they are perfectly functional versions of the Clever games. Ganz schön clever. I guess in English, that's pretty clever, twice as clever, Clever Cubed, and Clever Forever. And they're all just different versions of that core game, Ganz schön clever. Which is, you roll a bunch of dice, they're different colors, you mark down the dice on your player sheet, and then after about 2 or 3 turns, everything starts cascading and turning into combos, and you're trying to get scores in the 200-300s. I've played each of these dozens of times because they're quick and easy, and this is my favorite roll and write game, I think, the Clever formula, but I mostly play it on the app because taking out the actual box and the pencil and paper and rolling the actual dice, while nice and tactile, if I'm going to play it solo, I'm I don't really need to do that. It's on my phone. So trying to maximize that score, playing over and over again. Each game takes 5 to 10 minutes at the most. It's been a lot of fun. And then last but not least is a game that I love in all of its many formats, but if there's a way I'm going to play it, it's probably digitally, because you have to shuffle the cards a whole bunch and it slows it down. And that's Onirim. So Onirim it's been available as an app for a while. It does have a few of the expansions that come in the second edition as well. And it is very quick. It's very easy to play, easy to learn. I believe the base game is free, and you can just play it. And yeah, the digital version, 5-10 minutes. You don't have to shuffle any cards. That's awesome. Because if you play this game for real, you're shuffling constantly. Which is not bad necessarily, but if you want to just like zone out and play the game 4 or 5 times in a row, it can get kind of annoying pretty fast. So Onirim is just fantastic. I wish more of the Oniverse games had made it to iOS, but this one is still a favorite.
Absolutely. So there you go. A great list from our listeners. Great list from Anthony and I. A lot of opportunities to play great games digitized. All right, everyone. Until next time, this is Chris.
Hey, and this is Anthony.
And we'll save you all a seat at the table. Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Hey there, Hugh from Poderation here. If you like today's show, why not check out Make Believe Heroes, a family-friendly D&D show for all ages. Join our eclectic, lovable cast as they explore the world of Manumi and beyond in a show that's designed for everybody to be able to enjoy. If you'd like to hear more, check out our website at poderation.com.